1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honey Bee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I am one of your hosts, Precious D.
And I am the other one of your hosts, Honey Bee.
Honey Bee and I are two best friends making our way through the history of kaiju movies. We started in 1933 with King Kong, and now we're up to 2000. 2013 with Jack the Giant Killer. But we also thought we would rewind a little and go back to 1962 and talk about another movie called Jack the Giant Killer while we're at it. So, a little bit of background. Last week we talked about Jack the Giant Slayer, which was a proper movie. And this week we're talking about the Asylum mockbuster, hurry up and get it put out so we can cash in on the confusion, Jack the Giant Killer. To further confuse things, Jack the Giant Slayer was originally going to be called Jack the Giant Killer. But there's a 1962 movie also called Jack the Giant Killer. All of these are semi-based on the old fairy tale, Jack the Giant Killer, and two of them have also mixed in Jack and the Beanstalk, which we mentioned last episode is not the same thing. These are two different stories. But some movies have smushed them together. So the 1962 one, you can watch it on Tubi, but you can also watch the Riff Tracks version on Tubi, which is what I did.
Ah, cool.
Because I'd already seen this movie at some point, so I'm like, I'm not sitting through this crap again without a little bit of help. So I recommend watching it that way, and then you can listen to us talk about it. So I guess let's start with that. As I said, 1962, it's in color, it's 94 minutes. Directed by Nathan H. Huron? Don't know how he pronounces that. Written by Orville H. Hampton and Nathan H. Huron. Based on Jack the Giant Killer. There is no box office or budget listed.
Aw.
This one has a bunch of stop motion animation in it, but not by Ray Harryhausen, and it shows.
Oh, that's funny.
Let's do the cast. The cast is Kerwin Matthews as Jack, Judy Meredith as Princess Elaine, Thorin Thatcher as Pendragon, Walter Burke as Garna, Don Beddoe as the Imp, Barry Kelly, he wasn't an imp. They called him an imp, he was not an imp. Barry Kelly as Sigurd, Dayton Loomis as King Mark, Anna Lee as Lady Constance, Roger Mobley as Peter, and Robert Gist as Scottish Captain, Tudor Owen as Chancellor, Ken Mayer as Boatswain, and Helen Wallace as Jack's mother. Honeybee, what did you think of Jack the Giant Killer?
Well, I feel like this is one of the movies that my granny would just have like playing in the background at her house at just any given time. There was just like a movie exactly like this, probably even this movie at some point, just on the TV while we all like talked and played. She had like a little toy box that was right in front of the TV, so all the grandkids would like go to that little like toy box, and we would just see these like old ass movies on the TV, and with this exact quality and the costumes and the music. And so it felt so like nostalgic for me to like see this. It was so very strange to like watch this and be like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. Like, ugh, it just really reminded me so much of my granny. It was just so sweet. Also, I honestly kind of expected to be a little bored, or maybe just kind of for the movie to drag on a bit. just because of the time period and the effects and things. But I will say I did not feel that way. I felt super into this movie. The music was so good. I loved the score of this movie. It is very tell you exactly how to fill, when to fill it. You know what's about to happen, because the score is like, and now things are beautiful, and now things are scary, and now we're in love. It's just very much just classic score, and I love it. Yeah, it's giving a little bit of like Clash of the Titan vibes in some spaces, but I really actually enjoyed watching this movie. I'm really glad we went back to it because it gave me all the feels.
Okay. Well, you had a much more positive experience than I did. Although, I mean, I was watching it with the riff tracks, so it was fun. Those guys are funny. Mm-hmm. But I just thought this was a real piece of shit.
Oh, I didn't.
And also just the Pendragon part, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
So this might be a long episode, folks, because we're gonna go ahead and do both movies. We're gonna take you through the whole thing. Here we go. I don't know. Maybe if it's too long, I'll cut it into 2 episodes. We'll see. Here's our plot from Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. In the Duchy of Cornwall in fairy tale days, an evil sorcerer named Pendragon rules over giants, witches, hobgoblins, and dark creatures. And here's my first problem with the movie.
Okay, let us have it.
Well, we mentioned last week that Jack the Giant Killer is part of the Arthurian legendarium, or however you want to call it.
Sure.
In the original versions of Jack the Giant Killer, Arthur is the king. Arthur's full name, for those of you who may not be aware, is Arthur Pendragon.
Oh.
So why does this movie have the king named King Mark and the bad guy is named Pendragon? I don't get that. I don't understand. It kind of makes it seem like, well, I know it's supposed to be Arthur, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to fuck things up for no reason. Because you don't just pull Pendragon out of your ass. You've got to, it just seems like you have to have heard that name in association with Arthur and nobody else. So why would you do that? So, yeah, I don't know. That just bugged me.
Damn it. Well, I didn't even know that guy, like, was the bad guy. I mean, as soon as you see him, you're like, oh, shit, this guy's eyes are very villain-coded. Right. So it's like, as soon as you see him, you're like, okay, this has got to be the bad guy. But I don't know anything about, the lore, well, I guess. So it didn't bother me in any way. It made no sense to me.
His eyes, his facial hair, his pasty makeup. Yeah, I don't want to just come in here and repeat everything Riff Tracks said, but they were all just like, hello, I'm evil.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see. A wizard named Herla defeats and exiles Pendragon and his followers to an uncharted island. After Herla later dies, there is no longer a defense against Pendragon, who vowed revenge. Years later, the kingdom celebrates the crowning of Princess Elaine, the daughter of King Mark of Cornwall. Oh, there's a link there. Maybe he's a real king. I don't know. Mark of Cornwall, 6th century king of Kurnow, which is also Cornwall. Possibly identical with King Conomer. Okay, he's best known for his appearance in Arthurian legend as the uncle of Tristan and the husband of Isolde. Okay, so by naming him King Mark...
Well, what the hell?
By naming him King Mark, it also shows that they know Arthur should be in this, and yet they've done the Pendragon shit. I don't... Jesus. Okay, I'm not going any further down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. Pendragon arrives disguised as a foreign lord named Elidorus and presents Elaine with a music box containing a miniature anthropomorphic dancing jester, which is a creepy stop-motion thing.
Yeah, my note here is like, oh, holy shit, a tiny giant gesture, ?
Yeah.
And then my next note is, whoa, this is weird, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I feel like the immediate reaction should have been, this is clearly sorcery. No wind-up toy is this good. Put that guy in the dungeon immediately. What is this nonsense?
Prince Alidorus, my ass.
Yeah. That night, Pendragon peers into the sleeping Elaine's bedchamber. Speaking of Clash of the Titans.
This is what gave me Clash of the Titans vibe. Yeah, this is exactly where I was like, oh, okay, we've definitely seen this before.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, I wish that I had like a Constance. Like, can I just like pay a person to just tuck me in at night, kiss my forehead, say goodnight, princess, and then leave me the fuck alone? And then like just like open my window and then like wake me up the same way in the morning, just backwards, like forehead kiss, good morning, princess. And like that's just, I just pay them to do that.
You mean a servant?
Is that a No. Just to tuck me in and just to wake
only
me
do
up.
that. To only do that.
Only that. Yeah.
So just your bedtime morning maid. That's all she does. She doesn't have to bring you breakfast. She doesn't have to make the bed.
Nope.
Okay.
Just has to tuck me in. Just make sure I'm snug as a bug in a rug. Tuck me in, like tuck the sheets under me, and then kiss my forehead and say, good night, princess, and then I will sleep like a little baby.
I'll see what I can arrange.
Okay, appreciate that.
If
anybody out there is looking for that job, hit a bitch up.
I think she... Well, I think she's a lady in waiting, and I'm not sure that bitches get ladies in waiting, but...
Well, they do, and they do now.
We'll see what we can do. Anyway, Pendragon peers into the sleeping Elaine's bedchamber and magically opens the music box, releasing the tiny jester. The creature grows into a hideous giant named Cormoran that the castle guards are powerless to stop as he abducts Princess Elaine.
Yeah, when he takes off his, like, tiny gesture hat to reveal, like, tiny spikes, I snorted. It was so funny. It's like, oh, he's evil. The spikes really give it away.
So, let's see. Cormorant takes Elaine to Pendragon's ship, where a bumbling henchman named Garna is waiting. A brave young farmer named Jack rescues Elaine and slays Cormoran.
We kind of also hear this thing where someone's like, it's been years since we've banished giants. Why would they return now? And I was like, oh, okay, so no one's like surprised that it's a giant. Yeah. They're just surprised that they haven't seen one in a few years.
Yeah, just why is there one here?
Yeah. And as soon as we see Jack, I'm like, okay, this has got to be Jack, because he's like a very handsome hero talking to horses and shit. Sees the princess being dragged away by a spiky giant and then getting yoinked into a boat.
Yeah. So he slays Cormoran. Does he hang him a little bit? He chokes him a little with a rope and then stabs him?
He puts a rope on him and you think he's gonna like hang him, but then he just follows the rope out there and stabs him to death. So
yeah. Which I kind of appreciate, because I think part of the whole Jack stories is that he kills the giants in rather creative and brutal ways. So I appreciated that part.
I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. And then I was like, why am I so surprised that Jack is doing killing giant shit? And that's literally the name of the movie. I don't know why I'm so shocked that this is going so well.
It's what it says on the tin. In gratitude, King Mark knights Jack and appoints him Elaine's protector. Oh, did I bitch about this in the last movie? I think I forgot to.
About
the whole
the
thing
king
the whole thing about, oh, she can't marry Jack, he's a commoner and they have to marry someone of royal blood. No, they don't. That's not how royal blood works. The king can just make you a noble. All he has to do is give you some land and declare you the Duke of whatever or the Earl or whatever. That's all nobility is somebody that the king has given some land to and a title. And he can do that to anybody. So if your daughter wants to marry some peasant, you just make that peasant a noble. There's no bloodline bullshit. Especially back then. Nobody gave a shit back then. You saved the king's daughter? Yeah, he's going to give you a title and some land. He's going to hook you up. So,
I did think that Jack was like pretty smooth when he was like, she was like, oh my god, you killed a giant, and he's like, yeah, I kill a giant every morning before breakfast. I was like, oh shit, okay, Jack with the riz.
Yeah. He knights Jack and appoints him Elaine's protector, and I think this is when he said, oh, my father served with you or fought for you or whatever in the one of your bullshit wars. My father risked his life for you in one of your bullshit wars. But no, this that's not at all. That's not all his attitude. It's very much, and I'm very proud of that fact that my peasant father worked with you.
Also, I really love, I don't think it has anything like to do with the story really, but I just kind of love how in this one we got like Jack has a mom that loves him. Because I guess like in the other one, you know, Jack's uncle was such a piece of shit and he like didn't have a mom and then his dad died and I was just like, ugh. And then like watching this, I was like, oh, yay. Jack has a mom that loves him.
As Jack and Elaine begin to fall in love, King Mark and his chancellor are concerned over Pendragon's looming danger. The king assigns Jack to guide Princess Elaine to a convent across the sea where she will be safe, or so you think. The plan is thwarted by Elaine's lady-in-waiting, Lady Constance, who, bewitched by Pendragon, reveals the king's plan to him.
I was shooketh. I never saw that coming.
And then there's a thing with making her look in a mirror, and it reveals that this movie's idea of what is a witch is a little weird. But they figure out that she betrayed them because she's the only other person that knew. And then they force her to look in a mirror, and this reveals her true nature. And then they break the mirror, and this breaks the spell. And suddenly she's not under his control anymore.
But I was shocked by the Constance betrayal. I never saw it coming. I will say I really love the mirror thing. Like, I really love the, like, break the mirror, kills the evil demon spirit out of you. That was good shit.
Pendragon sends demonic witches to intercept the ship. So this is what I'm talking about with what do they think a witch is? Because these were just weird flying...
goblins and creepies.
Yeah, sort of banshee-like things that just, I mean, it didn't seem like a woman who practices witchcraft. It just seemed like a monster. Amid the chaos, the ship's captain is murdered, and Elaine is captured.
Not
Jack
Lloyded.
Jack wants the ship to follow the kidnappers, but the crew refuses and casts Jack and Peter, the captain's young son, overboard. Ugh.
Woo! A little paunchy moment.
Dad killed and thrown overboard in the same day. Tough day for Peter. Yeah, they were traveling incognito, so they're like, that's the princess, and I'm a knight, and we've got to go rescue her. And they're like,
and they're like, yeah, right, shut the fuck up.
I'm the Sheik of Araby, or some shit like that. I feel like after the movie, somebody showed up at the dock and was like, arrest this entire crew. You guys are in trouble. Let's see. At his castle, Pendragon bewitches Elaine into an evil witch loyal to him. See, you can't just make somebody a witch. That's not how witches work.
Well, you can in this film, and I will say Elaine is hot as a witch. I was like, yeah, now she's spooky. And also, I am very surprised by the range that this actress had when she goes from, like, princess to, like, kind of a shit. And she does the whole, like, back and forth thing of it. I was like, oh, shit, okay. Because, this is maybe an unpopular opinion, but usually the princess or, the main character who's a girl is kind of, like, the least interesting character. And, it's, like, very easy to play that character. And there's just not a lot of meat. But... which I kind of felt like in the beginning was kind of where this was going, which I was fine with. Cool, cute, little mousy princess, adorable, great story. But then when she starts doing this like back and forth shit, I was like, okay, work. Like she actually did a very great job. I think everyone in this movie actually did a great job. I think it was very well casted. Because, like, the creepy guy is fucking creepy. His little minion with his, like, wacky little face, very creepy. The princess doing her back and forth shit, amazing. Jack, handsome as ever, smooth, it was just very well casted. I was very surprised by the depth of the acting in this film.
Okay. Let's see. A Pendragon returns to Cornwall and confronts King Mark. Pendragon tells the king he has 1 week to renounce his throne so that Pendragon can rule with Elaine by his side. Yeah, his plan is not to... He's like, renounce my throne to you? He's like, no, to your daughter. Like, just as the law would normally work, whatever. And then I'll marry her. Ha-ha. I'm like, ugh, okay, I don't know why you don't just cut out the middleman there, but sure. No, this is all above board. It's perfectly legal. If the king refuses, Elaine will be killed. After Pendragon vanishes, in some very lame magic trick shit there, King Mark realizes Lady Constance betrayed him. Standing before a mirror, she appears in witch form. King Mark smashes the mirror, freeing Lady Constance from Pendragon's spell.
This part is so sad when she's like, I'm so sorry, and he says, don't worry, we don't blame you, we pity you. I was like, damn, ouch, shit, bro.
Yeah, well, at least they understand how mind control works. So, let's see. At sea, a friendly Viking named Sigurd rescues Jack and Peter. He introduces them to the imp in the bottle. The imp,
tiny little leprechaun.
A leprechaun imprisoned in a glass bottle by the king of the elves for having crafted 7-league boots from his pot of gold. That's the reason he put him in there? I guess. He definitely has the boots and waves them around constantly. Are these 7-league boots going to be important to the plot of the story? Not at all. Not at all.
But he does speak in rhyme and do a little jig, so
yes,
yay!
He is just a flaming stereotype. Just, oh my God. He's just, I'm a little leprechaun, and everything I say rhymes a con. 7-league boots are... 7-league boots are a thing in folklore. Every step you take is 7 leagues long, so... but no, they don't use these to help Jack get anywhere faster. The imp, who only speaks in rhyming sentences, explains that his 3 remaining gold coins can each grant a wish to an honest person. Oh, he knows Jack's honest. I think even just picking up his bottle will burn you.
Yeah.
If you're dishonest, if you're evil. So he's kind of willing to help Jack because he's able to pick up his bottle. Sigurd has possessed the bottle without being granted any wishes, indicating he is not honest. In exchange, Jack must free the imp once the wishes are granted. Jack agrees, and the imp guides them to Pendragon's island. With the first 2 wishes, Jack approaches Pendragon's castle and secures Elaine's release.
And he gets a magic whip. And I was like, damn, now I know I'm in love with Jack. Just whoosh, whoosh.
Well, does he start off with a magic sword? He has a sword. Is it a magic one, or is it just Sigurd's sword?
I think he like Shazams it, like hits it with magic light.
Yes.
And then like the king or the dark prince, I don't know. He like tries to get Jack, and the sword like protects him without him having to yield it. So I imagine that there's some sort of magic going on there.
Yes. Yeah. I think he did put a spell on Sigurd's pre-existing sword, and he was able to block spells with it. Mm-hmm. But then he ends up losing the sword, and he sends these very slow marching suits of armor at Jack.
Yeah, that's when he gets the whip.
And the imp tells him to go. There's a skeleton just hanging out. Not an animated skeleton, just a skeleton hanging out on the little bridge thing that they're fighting on. And he tells him to grab the bone. And he grabs it, and it turns into a magic whip. And just one hit from this whip, and the things disintegrate.
So funny. My favorite part about this, though, is when he does get to Pendragon, he kind of like freaks out and says, "Let us dispense the theatrics." And I'm like, oh, okay, now we dispense the theatrics, you piece of shit? Like, okay, you dramatic motherfucker, every little magic trick here and there, and now it's like, oh, let's not be so dramatic. Like, okay, sir.
Yes. He does not seem like a guy who ever wants to dispense with theatrics, but I think what he really means is, hey, only I get to be dramatic.
Yeah,
Now
that's
that you're-
exactly what he means.
Now that you're here, let's dial it down a notch. So he rescues Elaine, unaware that she has been transformed. As they journey home, Elaine gives Jack a sleeping potion. When she touches the imp's bottle, her evil nature causes it to grow hot in her hand, and she reflexively casts it into the sea.
Her witch laugh is so good. I was like, oh shit, her witch laugh is so good. But when she's laughing, one of her contacts, because she has like a dragon eye or some shit.
Yeah.
One of her contacts, when she's laughing, kind of goes a little bit sideways and wonky, so it just makes her look like she has a wonky eye.
Oh, I did not notice that. Pendragon captures Jack and his companions and attempts to force Jack to reveal the imp's whereabouts by turning Peter and Sigurd into a chimpanzee and a dog, respectively.
At least he is a golden retriever, and like that is pretty accurate. He does give very golden retriever energy as a human being as well.
Jack, however, does not know the imp's location. Yeah, because your assistant threw it into your mind slave threw it into the water. How would Jack know where it is? When Jack is alone with Elaine, she reveals her witch form to him. With Peter and Sigurd's aid, Jack breaks free and smashes Elaine's mirror reflection, breaking the spell.
Yeah, take that. He just manhandles her too. He just like picks her up and throws her over his shoulder and is like, come here and look in this mirror, you wicked ass bitch. And she does, and it's so hot, and I love Jack in this movie.
As the friends flee the castle, Pendragon conjures a two-headed giant. Because remember, we're supposed to be killing giants.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Jack the giant and suit of armor and witch and
princess. The
random
princess
shit
slayer.
killer.
Heyo!
The imp's bottle has washed ashore, and he grants Jack's final wish by summoning a sea monster that kills the giant. So we get a monster fight.
Yes, this is the weirdest kaiju battle I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Was it a tentacly monster? I think it was.
It was very tentacly, and it was like Nessie meets tentacles, like mushed together by clay with clay. Just clay fighting clay.
Pendragon transforms himself into a hideous dragon and attacks the ship.
But it's actually the cutest little dragon I've ever seen in my life.
Jack kills him after a fierce battle, causing Pendragon's castle to collapse, crushing Garnet and the witches. Whenever this happens in a movie, whatever kind of movie it is, I kind of say to myself, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the fall of the House of Usher.
Ew.
Because, there is a tendency in all kinds of movies, like even James Bond movies, not just magic movies, where if the bad guy dies, then everything falls apart.
Yeah, and all like the things that he has, like Peter is no longer a chimpanzee. Like Peter turns back into a boy.
Yeah. Sigurd and Peter are restored to human form. As promised, Jack frees the imp, who uses his magical boots to return to Ireland while creating a rainbow to guide Jack and the others home to Cornwall.
LMFAO. This is so funny. First of all, when Jack asks the little leprechaun dude for help at the end, he's like, I don't have anything, look at my purse, it's empty. And he's like, I just thought that was so funny. He's like, I don't have any more wishes to grant you gotta figure it out, old boy. And then when he just comes out of the little bottle and he's a little bit bigger but not that much bigger, it was so funny. And then they're like, oh, he's gone. Pan behind the boat, he's just galloping into the air to the rainbow. It's so funny. I was cackling, just hysterical.
So your boy Jack, Kerwin Matthews, was also in the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and the Three Worlds of Gulliver. So you might want to check those out if you
he
think Jack's got it going on.
I was like, what the heck? Why do I think this man is so attractive? That is very not like me, especially in these movies. I'm just like, ugh, no, why? But Jack, I don't know. Jack was doing it for me. He really was. And even, when they have that, like, silly, especially in this time period, that, like, movie kiss, where they're like, oh, we're about to kiss. And then they, like, purse their lips as tight as they possibly can, and then just, like, mush their faces together, and they just mush their faces together. I was just like, oh, yeah, get it. It's very weird.
No open mouth kisses in old fashioned movies.
No, just a lot of face mashing, harder, just smush it.
That's how you can tell how passionate it is by how hard they smush them together. Unless you chip a tooth, you don't mean it.
Yes. Oh, and also the little leprechaun, before he, like, flies off to the rainbow, does tell the princess, he's like, if you, like, want to be happy, you gotta marry Jack, because he's the lad for you. And I'm like, I don't disagree. I think Jack is the man. So.
Oh gosh, I'm kind of afraid to ask this. Honeybee, what are you gonna rate Jack the Giant Killer?
I think it's gonna be a very high 4 or a very low 5 for me.
Okay, yeah, it's more like a 2 for me.
Oh, I loved it.
Just so much stupid nonsense. I'm like, there's a leprechaun and a Viking.
Yes.
Pendragon. Why Pendragon? You just, I found it all kind of annoying.
Yeah, I loved
But
it.
I'm glad.
I enjoyed it so much.
I'm glad you liked it.
I did. I'm so glad we came back to it. And I also feel like I am going to be that, like, old lady, like my little tiny granny, she was so tiny and, like, fragile, and she would just, like, make cookies and, like, have old movies playing on in the background, and we'd, like, come over and play, and, like, that's just the kind of grandma I want to be. And I'm going to be playing pieces of shit like this movie just in the background. Just at any given time, there's just, like, a random kaiju movie in the background. I'm just baking cookies. You can come play in the toy box, and then I'll just, like, look at Jack and be like, oh, back in my day, Jack the Giant Killer, he really did it for me. Yep, that's gonna be me as a grandma. So
okay. Well, I guess you better get to work on that.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we'll take a little break here, and then we'll come back with the other Jack the Giant Killer.
With this Asylum piece of shit.
And we're back with Jack the Giant Killer from 2013. It is from the goddamn Asylum. Wikipedia calls it a modern take on the fairy tales Jack the Giant Killer and Jack and the Beanstalk, but I'm not even sure that's what's really. I don't know what there's definitely a beanstalk in it, but I don't.
But are there even any giants, like, ever?
They're a giant something, but oh Jesus, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, I will say that this kind of gave me a little bit of a culture shock. I don't know if culture shock is the right word, but I was so shocked that this movie was actually taking place in what seemed to be like 2013. Like, for some reason, the modern quote unquote take on it really, like, made me like, oh God, what is, like, happening? I can't focus. I can't understand. Like, it was very hard for me to, like, get into this movie, and not even just because it's an Asylum film, because I feel like we've done so many Asylum films at this point that I kind of look forward to them in a way. Like, I get excited for them because I just know they're going to be shitty, and it's just fun for me to watch. Like, I enjoy it in that sense. But this movie was just really hard for me to, like, pay attention to because of the modern, like, shit, and then, like, the back and forth of the, I don't know. This was difficult for me, especially after watching Jack the Giant Slayer and then Jack the Giant Killer from the 60s, and then this one, like, I just, my brain, it hurts. It hurts. It burns us.
There is some other, like, TV movie, I think, that is kind of a modern, it's sort of a modern sequel. Like, the hero's ancestor was the original Jack or some shit. I don't remember what it is, though, or who was in it. Oh, god damn it. Okay, this is directed by Mark Atkins with a screenplay by Mark Atkins and a bowl of mushrooms or something. I don't know. It's in color. It's 87 minutes.
A bowl of
There's
mushrooms is
no-
hilarious.
There's no box office or budget listed. Well, a bowl of mushrooms, both in the sense that maybe he was eating some while he wrote it, and also in the sense that it may as well have been written by a bowl of mushrooms. It's how much sense it makes.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So our cast, I guess this cast list here is in order of famousness.
Okay.
Because it lists Ben Cross first as Agent Hinton. Ben Cross is a guy who's been in some things, some real things. First thing I saw him in was the remake of Dark Shadows. But he's been in real movies. He's done things. You may or may not have seen him. He died 4 years ago.
Aw.
Anyway, moving on. Jane March as Serena. Jamie Atkins as Jack Crutchins. Vicky Glover as Lisa Russell. Harry Dyer as Newald Crutchins. Tanya Windsor as Sharon Mason. Julian Boot as Nigel Mason. John Campling as Jess Walters. Steve McTeague as General O'Shaughnessy.
Steve McTeague. That's a pretty cool name.
It says here, a decorated army man, whether he participated in the War of 1812 or simply recalls the tactics used by the British is unclear. So exactly how modern this movie is also unclear. Robert Boyle as Sergeant Jones, Noel Ross as Constable Milton, and Nigel Peaver as Oscar Madsen.
Isn't there some, like, also random ass or, like, weird, I don't know, I couldn't understand it, but, like, time travel-y, maybe not time travel-y, but time warpy kind of shit happening?
Yes, there's some kind of time dilation, magical, time passes differently in the fairy realm than it does in the regular
Some
world.
kind of time fuckery.
Yes, in the land of in Beanstalk Land, it's 1 day for every 1 year.
In Beanstalk Land.
Well, I started to say the giant realm, but it's not really
They call it like the cloud realm, I think.
Yes, it's a mutant dinosaur realm.
So
So
there's no fucking giants, bro.
yeah, Honeybee, what are your initial impressions of this movie?
It makes me a little angry, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there's just like there's nothing. There's really nothing. Like there is a small like few things from the storyline, but even then it's like no. And then if you try to forget, like, okay, well, this isn't related to Jack and the Beanstalk or Jack the Giant Killer Slayer, whatever, in any way, it still just kind of doesn't really fucking make sense to me. And at any point of time in the movie, I would just stop and think to myself, what the fuck is going on right now? And I couldn't tell you. And that's frustrating to me because I just, like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, not just in regards to reality, but in regards to itself. There's a lot of internal inconsistencies. I feel like there was a lack of communications with the graphics department or the CGI department or whatever you want to call it.
Mm.
I feel like the actors may have thought they were looking at giants.
Yeah, because at one point I keep thinking like, oh wait, is she a giant? Like, is this lady a giant? And then they show her and she's the same size as them. I'm like, well, why are they looking up at her like that? Very weird.
In the Beanstalk world, there are large creatures that have a vaguely dinosaur-like appearance about them, but they have 6 eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And these are referred to as giants. Now, normally in a Jack story, by giant, you mean a giant humanoid.
Right.
A person of giant size. But even so, giant... A whale is not a giant. That's its natural size, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there were a goldfish the size of a whale, then that would be a giant goldfish. But, an elephant is not a giant. It's just a large creature. A mouse the size of an elephant is a giant mouse. These things aren't giant. Well, as far as we know, we don't know anything about them. Maybe they're supposed to be mouse size and they've become giant, but they just call them giants because they're large, but they're not at all what you expect to see in a Beanstalk movie. It's insane. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, but it's kind of like the CGI department thought they were making one movie and everybody else thought they were making another movie. And nobody realized until it was time to put the effects in that nothing matched up properly.
And then when they did realize it, they were like, well, full send. Let's put it out.
Yep. It's like, well, this is what we got. This is what we rendered. Like you told me mutant dinosaurs. And I'm like, I did not tell you mutant dinosaurs. I've got the email right here. It says mutant dinosaurs. Shit, that was a different movie. Crap. I was supposed to send that to John Smith, not John Jones. Crap. Oh, well. Jesus. Okay, here's our plot, such as it is. From Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. A man who appears crazy shows up at Jack's 18th birthday party, claiming to have a gift from Jack's missing father. No, but first, do we see Jack fighting the monster first, and then we flash back? Is that what happened?
I honestly, I don't remember. My first note is, why does the beginning of this movie give Beetlejuice? And I don't even remember what that means.
Well, we definitely see Jack, though, working on his homemade mecha suit that he's just building out in the garage for no reason. Just because it's his hobby. Some kids like to work on automobiles or motorcycles, but not Jack. He's building a mechanized exoskeleton armored personal assault machine for some reason. Jesus Christ. With his girlfriend, I guess.
Who doesn't know that she's his girlfriend, because later in the movie someone's like, oh, I know, I can tell why he likes you. And she's like, gasp, what? He likes me? I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Come on. Come on.
Stop. You're the only two kids in town. Of course he likes you. Anyway, this guy shows up claiming to have a gift from Jack's missing father, Newald Crutchins. What an insane name. The stranger, Jess Walters, tells Jack that he never forgets a promise. Jack's mother, Sharon, believes Jess is clinically insane and wants Jack to forget about the ordeal. After opening the gift and discovering it contains only beans, giant beans, by the way, Jack tosses them into an empty field. I wouldn't look at those and say a bean. I would say, what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they smelled like beans. I don't know.
Dirt?
Yeah. Discovering the beanstalk the next morning, Jack is trapped by a bean tendril and carried up into the clouds to find a strange land. He is chased by a dinosaur-like monster and takes refuge in a nearby floating mechanical castle.
Okay,
which
this is pretty
revealed
cool.
to be operated by his father. It's cool, but it makes no goddamn sense.
It doesn't make
his
any
father's
sense,
only
but
been there.
yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
His dad's been there for 12 days. How did he end up getting control of a flying castle
I think it was
in
19.
less than 2 weeks?
Oh.
Was it 19 days? No, Jack's only 18. It's not. I thought he said he'd been there for 12 days. So he left when Jack was.
I have it written down. I've been here for 19 days and nights. Is my
no,
note.
he can't be there. I don't see how. But Jack's just turned 18. So did he leave before Jack was born?
Well, he does say that he's going to have a son soon, or something like that.
Oh, okay, maybe.
So
maybe
I
he
think
did,
it is before he's born.
which is a shit thing to do. So why? Good God. He gave his friends this friend his beans and apparently told him, if I don't come back, then give these to my son on his 18th birthday. And he said, yes, I promise I will do that. And I never break a promise. So he left with the full knowledge that he might not come back. He didn't know that it was only going to be 19 days for himself. But, oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, he's managed to acquire a flying castle. For Jack, his father's been missing since birth, but Newell swears he has only been gone a few days. He is surprised that his son is now full grown, but accepts that it must be true. Sure. I mean, I've got a flying castle and there's six-eyed dinosaurs outside, so why wouldn't that be true?
I also love how the dad's like telling him like how he got the castle. He's like, it used to belong to a giant. He's like, I may have misread the situation regarding the giants, and now I'm paying for it. I didn't understand the whole fee fi fo fum. I was dying. I didn't understand the fee fi fo fum, as if like that's the language or something. Like, because in the other movie we went from like those being the giants' names, to like now he doesn't understand the language and he killed him, and now he's like, well, shit, now I'm stuck.
He thought that was a threat, and it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yet we never these so-called dinosaur giants, they don't speak. Jesus Christ. Anyway, he further deduces that the following must be true: one day in this land is equivalent to 1 year on Earth. Newell is still only 29. Jack explains to his father that Jess gave him the beans, and Newell fondly recalls that his friend never forgets a promise. Oh, it also doesn't mention that his mother remarried. He's been being co-raised by a stepfather this whole time.
Yeah, and when the mom and stepfather try to like science out how the beans came to be, and she's like, I always really loved this guy. Like, your father was great, but I was really in love with this guy, and as soon as your father was gone and wasn't coming back, I was like, hell yeah, now I get to marry the love of my life. I was like, well, goddamn.
Yeah, well, his father is also like, I liked your mother, but it was never really meant to be. You've been gone a couple of days.
What the fuck?
You've just been gone a few days from your point of view. You should be a little more like, I didn't realize that this was going to happen like this. I thought I'd be back before you were born or as soon after. It was terribly irresponsible of him to get. He either is about to have a baby or just had a baby, and I don't know. It's very unclear how he ended up going up the beanstalk. Jesus Christ. Anyway, where the hell was I? Newell is still only 29. Jack explains to his father that just gave him the beans, the promise. Okay. Jack then suggests they go back down the beanstalk together, but Newell points out that only he who plants the bean can travel the stalk. How do you know that?
Which is so funny.
How do you have this information? Who told you this? Did you try traveling up another beanstalk and you couldn't, so you had to plant your own? What the fuck are you talking about? This is nonsense.
And how did the dinosaurs travel up and down the beanstalk? Is that because she put some sort of spell on it, or like? I
don't know. Well, that's just for humans, I guess. Giants can do whatever they want. No, you're right. It makes no sense. It's stupid. It's Jesus. Jack and his father explore the land of the clouds and visit the mysterious sorceress Selena, in hope of finding a solution to their problem.
Selena reminds me of one of the was it in the Rock Monster, where like the bartender was supposed to be like this hot chick, but then she was like this girl. They're very similar. Like they remind me. You know what I'm talking about? And the Rock Monster. Yeah, very similar vibes. It's like, oh, I'm so hot. Like, okay.
Right. Like, yeah, you're all right, but...
I was like, work, bitch.
You're no Rosario Dawson. Newell confronts Selena as she's taking a bath in the middle of an empty room, as one does. Meanwhile... And this whole thing is weird too, because they seem to keep forgetting that he's only been there a few days.
And
because they act like they
have some like creepy ass shit going on. Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you're back." Like, yeah, you saw me 2 days ago because I've only been here a total of 18 or 19 days. She acts like they have years of history, and that's just not possible. It's just fucking stupid. Meanwhile, Jack's girlfriend Lisa plants another beanstalk to rescue Jack, but for some reason she goes into London to do it instead of doing it out in the countryside.
And for some reason she doesn't know how to plant things or like how to water. Like she doesn't know how it works. Like she puts the bean in the dirt. She's like, "Okay, bean, grow, I'll just sleep right here next to you, and just lays down like a fucking dog in the middle of a park to like what, I don't know, watch over this fucking bean. It's like, put it in the dirt, water it, and take a few steps back. Have you never seen this movie before?
I guess. I don't think the story of Jack and the Beanstalk exists in this world. I think this is the first that people are getting with the concept of the giant beanstalks.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand why she carried it into town, because they clearly live in the countryside, and she carried it into town to do it in the middle of the square. So let's see. Plants a beanstalk. But Selena uses this beanstalk to take the beast down to earth so she can become its ruler. That's not exactly what she says. She wants revenge on the people that did this to her. What? I don't know. And there's also...
It's weird. Like, I don't understand why she's like, even the guy, even her, like, lover is like, well, maybe it didn't happen on purpose. Like, maybe it wasn't... And she's like, no, fuck Earth. Fuck the people on Earth. They betrayed me. Like, what are you talking about?
She seems to think that she is from Earth, which at one point Newell is like, how do you know you're from Earth? And I think she says, I met a lot of weirdos, but you're the only one that resembles me. So in however long she's been there, she's never seen another human. She was apparently, as we find out later, somehow abducted by the beanstalk as a child, and then has been living by herself, yet knows how to speak English.
And is living a life of such luxury that she can just take a bath in the middle of an empty, room.
Because the thing is, I say knows how to speak English because it doesn't matter what she was speaking as a child. If you don't use language regularly for years, you'll start to lose it.
Yeah.
If you go like 10 or 20 years without talking to anybody else, you'll start to forget how to talk. Mm-hmm. You'll go feral. And especially if this happened when you were a child, which apparently he did. But she doesn't have any problem. But, that would require the people that made this movie knowing anything about anything. So, Jesus Christ. So anyway, she's mad because she seems to think that somebody down there did something to her for her to end up in this situation. It is eventually revealed that Selena's mother, Mildred, became a local legend for claiming her daughter was stolen by giants. That at the end of the movie, I think they say that. Selena is coming to Earth to find her. The British Army steps in, dressed in the uniforms of World War II soldiers. That's in parentheses, I think indicating that it's not very clear what year this movie is set in. I mean, we see a motorcycle, but it is a kind of old-fashioned looking motorcycle. Certainly nobody has cell phones or anything like that.
Right.
They declare the beanstalk as a public menace, but their military weapons, including rifles, tranquilizer bullets, and rubber bullets, are ineffective against the beasts. Lisa, Newell, and Jack drive the floating castle off the edge of the world. Off the edge of the cloud world, not the world, but that's what it says here. Off the edge of the world. And Newell admits that he has no idea what is going to happen. Luckily, the castle seems to be holding up quite well. The castle spins off the edge of the world, and they land safely on a creature. General O'Shaughnessy has seen many things in his army career, but he exclaims that this takes the biscuit. Meanwhile, Jack pretends to be the prime minister. Jess pretends to be the prime minister. Yeah, Serena's doing a kind of take me to your leader thing. So instead of going to get the authorities, they just grab Jess and say, pretend to be the prime minister and go out and talk to her.
But it is really smart. And I love when he has that whole thing where he's like, I don't have the authority, but I'm the person who's going to take you to the person who has the authority.
Yes, because she's like, surrender to me. Like, I can't do that. But yeah, I did enjoy that part. Newell, the thing is, everybody in this does a good job, but they've just been given shit. They've been given shit to work with. They're in a nonsense movie, and they're doing their best. Newell nabs Selena's necklace as he believes it will stop her control over the giants that are not giants. He cites the law that they will become peaceful beasts of the fields. He quotes the Bible or some shit. Unfortunately, the giants do not become peaceful beasts of the fields and become evil, attacking everyone in sight. Yeah, he smashes the necklace. He didn't just take it. He destroys it. And Selena's like, no, oh, fuck. What did you do? God damn it. Because now they're going to try and kill me, too. Newell takes Selena into a car and introduces her to his friends. The driver is squashed by a giant. This is just more of this movie not making sense, though, because it's just like Selena's like, aha, I'm going to kill you all. Oh, no, you broke my necklace. Now I'm totally on your side. And they're all like, yeah, that's okay. It's fine that you were going to take control of the world a minute ago. We'll just happily work with you now. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. The British Army defeats most of the monsters, but one remains. Jess sacrifices himself to distract the beast with his motorcycle and is tragically squashed underfoot. Jack saves the day in a mechanical metal suit. This summary did not explain that this was a suit he himself was building earlier.
So random.
Yeah, he's like, hold on, guys. I got just the thing. Hold on. Wait here. I'll be right back. And Selena hugs Newell, undecided about her plans for retribution. Because, oh, Jesus. Yeah, Newell's like, so, what about that whole retribution thing? And she's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. So, maybe just kill her now before she gets her hands on some more magic shit. There's also, this wasn't mentioned, but there's an element of if you just wait till morning, the beanstalk will disintegrate, because that's how they work. How these particular beanstalks work, that they last for a day and then they're gone.
Stupid.
But only the person who planted it should be able to use it. So normally that's not much of an issue unless you get stuck up there before you can come down, like Newell did. Because, Jesus. So, yeah, this movie makes no fucking sense. What? Oh, Jesus. Honeybee, what are you going to rate this other Jack the Giant Killer?
Oh, shit. Damn, maybe a 2, maybe a 1.
Oof, it's definitely a 1 for me. I hated it. Even if it does have Ben Cross, it's so much nonsense and no giants. How dare you? It is definitely not what it says on the tin.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating part is like, where the fuck are the giants?
I think part of the problem was that they couldn't do a good enough job. They didn't have the budget for the kind of CGI giants that we saw in Jack the Giant Slayer. And they didn't want to just do people in front of a blue screen because they thought that would look too cheap. Too cheap even for them. So they were like, just give us some kind of monster that's big. People will be more forgiving of an unrealistic monster that doesn't look quite real than a person that just looks bad, I guess. That's all I can figure, is that they just didn't have the budget to make good-looking giant humans, so they just throw something big in there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole lot of the, looking at nothing acting going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, everybody kind of look up, now react to what you're seeing. What are we seeing? Just look in awe of something big that's above you, right here where I'm holding my hand. Everybody look up here. Now everybody kind of slowly move forward a little bit and react. And now everybody move back a little. It just bad. Which the longer we linger on the people's reactions, the less we have to spend on animating something for them to look at.
Yeah, but there are just so many moments where it's just like a shot of like 4 people just looking up into nothingness reacting, and we don't even know what the fuck. Like, it's like, okay, you only need to do that for a second. Not for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was. This was bad. It was bad.
It was very bad.
And the whole. Everybody was very chill, though, about the whole stepfather. My baby daddy's been missing for 18 years. Just everybody was really cool with everybody else. So much so that was kind of unrealistic.
Yeah.
And the only thing that it really addressed the issue at all was really kind of an awkward near the end when everybody's congratulating each other, and then Jack says something to his stepfather, and he calls him Nigel or whatever his name was, and then he's like, I mean, Dad. And says this right in front of his real dad. This seemed to me like this is the first time he's called his stepdad Dad, and he waits until his real dad is right there next to him to do this.
Yeah, awkward.
And
Awkward.
his biological father gets a kind of a slightly pained look on his face. And, you know, this look of regret that he has just, and I was like, really? That's, and then there was no turning to, and thank you too, also Dad, you know, just.
Also Dad.
Well, not that he'd say it like that, but you know, I thought he'd call both, I thought he would call both of them Dad, but he doesn't. He just calls his stepfather Dad, and I was like, ouch. That's, but yeah, there was nothing from the mother about where the fuck have you been all this time. Nothing about, well, from my point of view, it's only been a little over 2 weeks and you got married already. How do you think I feel? No, he's just like, hey, this crazy cloud bitch is kind of hot. I think I'm going to put the moves on her. Because there was that thing I mentioned earlier about, you know, your mother and I, we liked each other, but it was never really. I'm like, yeah, you've only been gone a few days. Why are you so, you know, she's about to have a kid. Why? Jesus. It's just, everybody's just too okay with what's going on in a way that doesn't require the writers to write anything nuanced or interesting. I guess they're all very healthy and good for them, but it just seemed unrealistic. So yeah, it's bad, folks. Don't bother. It is also on Tubi if for some reason you want to subject yourself to watching this piece of shit. So that's going to do it for Jack the Giant Killers. Jax the Giant Killers.
Jax the Giant Killers.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think next week we're going to have to backtrack a little bit. And we're going to have to do Atlantic Rim.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oof. I've seen that one before. It's...
I haven't seen it. Don't say anything.
It's from the Asylum. That's really all you need to know.
Oh, yeah. I'll do it.
It also doesn't make sense. The Pacific Rim is a thing, I think, in real life, you know, the Pacific Rim. I don't think there is a corresponding Atlantic Rim. So, God. All right. We'll deal with that crap next week. Folks, if you enjoyed the show, please rate and review and like and subscribe and check out our Patreon and all that stuff. But until next week, I have been Precious D.
And I have been Honey Bee.
Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements.
And please, don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.